Nobody's ever ready for an encounter with this whirlwind personality. He is a force of nature, something like a tornado of attention and willpower and the gospel.
Today he said, if you can talk, sing. If you can walk, dance. And I'm going to add on, if you can listen, hear.
Well, this always when you put headphones on, for some reason I think of jazz DJs.
Oh, really? like a nighttime jazz DJ host?
Exactly.
Is that your dream job?
Not right now.
Not right now. I like you like maybe in the future.
I might someday if I got a little more background in jazz.
Yeah, exactly.
What have I been thinking about?
Is that your dream job?
To be a jazz DJ.
But regarding jazz,
Coltrane.
I have been thinking about something regarding jazz.
Please.
What about jazz?
This quote from Louis Armstrong.
Okay.
He says, allegedly, "Man, if you have to ask what jazz is, you ain't ever going to know."
That is exactly what he said.
I thought you were going to say, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
No, he would say, and I'll think to myself, what a wonderful world.
And that is our guest. So we've got two guests on the podcast here today, Louis Armstrong and Terry Schultz. Louis.
I had a...
And also Cookie Monster.
This might...
Yes. Unexpected.
The perfect pairing, Louis and Cookie. Oh.
I think Cookie Monster is actually like a metaphorical character.
Oh boy.
He represents gluttony.
So you think the Sesame Street characters are the 7 deadly sins?
Fuzzy gluttony.
Well,
what you're trying to
isn't
say.
it possible? I mean, animal probably fits somewhere. Intemperance, something like that.
Hold on.
Oh, she's going to go to Google for this.
No, I'm just going to look up the Sesame Street characters, and then I want you to assign them a deadly sin.
The Sesame Street characters? There's like
really
200.
Good.
Sesame Street.
Animal.
The main
the
characters.
drummer. Animal.
Elmo. What's Elmo?
Elmo is a latecomer. He doesn't count.
Yes. I want Animal, the
I'm
drummer.
sorry.
Bird.
What
Big
cardinal
Bird.
sin?
Big Bird might be just like he's a cardinal.
Which cardinal?
The cardinal sin. He's all of them. He's big enough to hold them all.
Okay, Cookie Monster gluttony. Ernie?
Bert and Ernie are definitely some sort of metaphorical pairing.
Bert and
I think they're right brain, left brain, actually. I think Bert and Ernie are right brain,
those
left
aren't
brain.
7 deadly sins. We can't go to
Yeah, but, I will not
How
be
about
contained
Count
by
Von
you.
Count?
Very
How
good.
about the little vampire
The
guy?
Count.
A perennial favorite.
I loved him when I was a kid. But now puppets scare me, so.
Well, you don't, it doesn't have to be true.
It doesn't have to be.
The Count. The Count is obsessed. Maybe it's greed. Is it greed? No.
Do you think?
I don't know.
He wants more numbers.
Wait, what are the... Hold on. We also need to know what all the 7
Yeah, I
deadly
could say
sins
we're
are.
really floating around here.
We're,
Gluttony, jealousy, envy.
Yeah. Okay. Gluttony, envy, what is
slothfulness.
it? Yeah. Sloth?
Sloth.
What is it? Like rage or something? Is that one? Anger?
Murder.
Hold on.
Murder.
Despite all my rage.
It's actions now? Okay.
I'm still Big Bird.
Okay. Pride, greed, lust, envy, gluttony, wrath, and sloth. Okay.
Say that again.
So pride.
One more time.
Pride, Elmo.
No.
There
was the guy who played the piano, and he was always annoyed.
I don't know if I can have both of these.
You talking about Peanuts?
No, on Sesame Street. But this is going to expose how generations can't talk.
Okay,
you got that right.
Wait, so we've got Cookie Monster pegged as gluttony. Right?
That was a no-brainer.
That seems easy.
Yeah, that would.
That's easy.
Oscar the Grouch is probably in there.
Is he sloth?
I'd say lust.
Oh, lust.
Ooh.
Think about it. Grouchy all the time. I'm going to stop right there.
Okay, there we go. Okay.
I'm done. I'm way done.
I don't know.
Okay, Count Von Count.
Yeah, later.
Wrath. No.
What else we got?
Envy. Greed.
Greed for more numbers. I can't get enough numbers.
Count Von Count. Oh, is he the math one?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe greed. What do you think of that? I haven't seen Sesame Street.
I'm not convinced.
Okay.
Who is that piano player with the gold tooth? What's his name?
Let me look.
He is
on Sesame Street.
Yeah, he's a funny.
Yeah,
guy.
like he's always getting it wrong, and
Dr.
he can't
somebody.
get it. Oh, Dr. Teeth, and the Electric Mayhem. Yes, I love Dr. Teeth.
How many people in this room knew that? Ooh,
Oscar the
bummer.
Grover.
Grover.
Oh,
Grover is
anemic.
Grover is
It's not a 7 deadly sins. Ah, yes, the 7 deadly sins.
There's just
Sloth,
nothing to it.
Greed, anemic, murder.
I guess we're just making them up.
Yeah, that's
Who's
right.
pride?
Ooh, that could be
Kermit the Frog.
no Miss Piggy. Oh, come on,
Miss Piggy, for
no
sure.
brainer.
You're right.
What do you call Miss Piggy doing karate?
What is Grover?
I don't know. What do you call
What does Grover do?
A pork chop.
Oh,
Waka waka waka.
This wasn't that funny.
no, he liked it.
It's not supposed to be.
No,
Grover.
it wasn't meant to be funny.
Grover. Well, Grover. I mean, Grover is a stand. Like, I'm not answering your question, but I think
okay.
Grover is a stand-in for the child that watches.
Oh, right.
Grover
so,
is constantly kind of naive.
So maybe we shouldn't assign him.
Okay, the guy in the garbage can. Oh,
Oscar.
that was
That's Oscar,
Oscar
the
the
Grouch.
Grouch. We already
okay.
have it as Lust. What is Big Bird?
Big Bird is a big
No,
Pride.
no.
bird.
You think Pride?
I'd say Pride.
Really?
He's big stuff.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Whistle the Feast. We have in the room the phenomenon, the weather pattern, Terry Schultz.
Are we on?
We've been on the whole time. Muppets is recorded.
What is wrong with you guys?
So many
We want
things
you
that
to
we
be
don't have
comfortable
time.
right
We don't
away.
have time to explain what's wrong. Yeah, we want you to be comfortable, so we make you uncomfortable. Theoretically, we're going to talk about something on topic.
Okay.
What's the topic?
But Nora's in the room, and that could make this difficult.
I'm in the room. I guess I do.
Are we-
tangential.
We're on. We're on.
What's the topic?
The topic goes like this: how do the arts work with ministry? What are some examples? We've got a specialist in the room. We've got Terry Schultz, whose job title I want him to say eventually, because it starts to explain why we're talking about this. And then the people that we'll have in the room eventually will have 2 Kratzes, and it will be wild.
Yeah.
Wild Kratz.
Let's try to stay on topic while we can, because
and-
once Lydia gets here,
Okay.
all bets are off.
Yeah, but there is definitely a crossover where art and ministry work together. And that's been my career as an artist, right? So the crossover here, I think, is definitely something that we all have something to say, something to speak about. It feels like chaos. It isn't. It doesn't have to be, right? So your expectations should be tempered. It's okay. And this is not performative. This is not canned. It's just conversation. It's just people being who they are and talking about what they do.
Yep.
So, Terry.
Excellent.
Reverend.
Not very.
Doctor. Correct?
Sometimes.
Yes.
Yes.
And continue. What exactly is your job title?
Work for the Wells World Mission Board, as they call it, Artistic Development Missionary.
Could you say it again?
Artistic Development Missionary.
I just love that.
That's awesome.
Okay, and then why? What does that mean? What are your responsibilities?
Sure. What is so exciting is that our World Mission Board understood how important it can be, using the arts, visual arts, performing arts, etc. And at 21 years in the mission field, 15 years in Peru, mostly going into the Amazon jungle for a week every month, which was just wonderful.
What? That's crazy.
It qualifies for crazy.
Yes.
And then 6 years in the Dominican Republic, 1 week a month, going across the border to work in Haiti. And so after all kinds of experiences, trying things out, actually coming from a music major background, again, the Mission Board just saw how, kind of like if somebody wants to run with the arts, with music, dance, theater, puppets, all those things, they simply didn't have someone before that who had an interest in that. So again, by the grace of God, created this position for me. And it is simply to find ways to use the arts in service of the gospel work, in service of the kingdom. You can't imagine how exciting it is. And it is as simple as the fact that, in all of these cultures where we have a world missions presence, just seeing how almost like a heightened awareness and certainly a heightened use of some of these areas. The classic example, dance. Don't see a whole lot of dance in our circles, from the schools to worship settings. Okay, many of our African churches, I'll have to say every one, where dance is part of the culture. It's a huge part. Certain areas of Africa where they will say, if you can talk, you can sing. If you can walk, you can dance. And concrete example, our brothers and sisters in the Bethany Lutheran Church in Uganda, where they actually, the synod pays for 2 dance teachers to go around to all of the churches, all of the Sunday schools, and they teach the Sunday school teachers how to teach dance to children.
Yeah.
So the children get excited to go to Sunday school on Sunday. You will get a dance lesson. Okay, they will learn a song that's in a dance rhythm, lyrics that have a spiritual topic, and then the children will work towards a presentation at church. Again, nothing like that in our circles. So, using dance, using the instruments that really resonate with the people. It's very, very simple. I often talk about how at 2 years old, a child starts to show a preference for a certain style of music, the music of their culture.
Yeah.
In your teen years, okay, when you're 14, this is like the optimum age for deciding what your music preferences will be. Okay, when you're 14. You gotta think, okay, now what's happening when you're at 14? Think about it.
Yeah.
All these huge emotions that you feel for the first time. You fall in love for the first time. Your heart is crushed for the first time. You have these huge emotional experiences for the first time. Now, your brain is still developing in those early teen years. Okay, synapses are forming, canals are being laid down. You literally are programmed to respond to the music of your youth because you have, researchers call it tagged. You have tagged the music of your youth to these deep emotional experiences.
That's so cool.
So you are literally programmed to have an emotional response to that music. Okay, there's a fantastic book I always mention. It's called This Is Your Brain on Music. Because people are just like, what is going on? You think of certain music, you're in a gas station or a supermarket, and all of a sudden that for Motown, oh my gosh. Okay, the Temps just came on. And it literally stops you in your tracks. It is literally, you are having a visceral, physiological response to your music.
Okay, so what? Why are you talking about this?
So the reason we're talking, glad you asked, think of the repercussions in doing, mission work, cross-cultural work. It's this simple. When the first missionaries, and they talk about the golden age of African missions, for example. Okay, the turn of the century, 1890s, first time missionaries were just pouring into Africa. Okay, and God bless them, they didn't have a whole lot of ethnomusicology background. Okay? We talk about, missionaries, usually had a Bible in one hand and their hymnal in the other. Who doesn't love their hymnal? Kind of thing. The Bible was translated into the indigenous language of the Africans. The hymnal should have been translated into the indigenous music, but it wasn't.
Cool. Yeah.
Now you think of our hymnody, and again, it's interesting how this can be quantified. Okay, you have your elements of music. Some people have 5, some have 7, some have 12. Tempo, timbre, rhythm, melody, harmony, etc. The elements of music. Mm-hmm. European hymnody, the elements most valued, most used are the elements of melody and harmony. Okay, you flip through your hymnal and you don't see a whole lot of variety in the rhythm, a lot of quarter notes and half notes. Mm-hmm. Okay, the African musical sensibility is literally the opposite. The opposite. It's all about the rhythm, the tempo, the groove. Melody, why not? Harmony, sure, but it'll never come out the same 2 times. Yeah. Okay, completely different. We just are completing, I'm so excited about this, a African hymnal project in Uganda. And as far as we can tell in our circles, it'll be the first time Africans wrote music for Africans in African music idioms.
Wow. Yeah, oh my goodness. That's pretty big.
You got to talk about that a little bit more.
Wait,
it's like,
who is that?
Are these all new hymns?
What's that voice?
Twist my arm, Lydia.
Lydia Kratz has entered the conversation. She's entered the room. She had a private lesson.
Yes, I did. Well, I was giving a private lesson.
Just had to finish being a teacher because she's a student.
Yes,
fantastic.
Okay, that's Lydia.
Yeah, this is crazy. What you just said, that's awesome.
And the Africans that we're working with, the Ugandans, brothers and sisters, couldn't be more excited. The Ugandans will come up again, our brothers and sisters at church, other countries actually more so, in Africa, and they'll say, Dr. Terry, we love your teaching. It is doctrinal. It is sound. It is Bible-based. But do we have to sing your songs? So the idea of giving them permission. Mm-hmm. And here's where, again, with the work that I do, going to places and hearing, whether it's in South America, in Asia, in Africa, we didn't know we had permission to write our own music. Mm. So go into Uganda for a week, and it's like, okay, we want our own hymnal. How many songs do you think we can come up with? Well, again, the fact that it's based on these indigenous rhythms, this handful of rhythms, all danceable, which is a big deal because people come in to dance. They dance while they're singing. They dance when they're leaving. It is so exciting. It is, oh man, it's just so incredible. Over 50 songs were written in 1 week.
Wow.
And you're like, oh, yeah, right, whatever. Well, again, because of that musical sensibility, that orientation, it's all about the rhythm. Whoa, someone has a phrase, that's a nice lilting little piece of melody. Mm-hmm. A lot of repetition, a musical sensibility again. Where repetition actually helps to drive that message into your heart. So came up with that many songs, and God willing, we'll be printing the books here within a few weeks, actually.
Wow.
So
when was this week? You said there was about 6 days. When did that happen?
Yeah, that happened quite a few months ago. We actually had people writing lyrics in 7 different languages. And then everybody liked each other's music so much. We're so excited. We get to use this in church that they asked everyone to go back home and put their songs into English. Mm-hmm. And then it'll go back to where everyone will have the whole 50 songs in English. And then, there's probably a technical term for this, put them back into their own dialects. So everyone wants to have all 50 pieces in their own, but then we'll also have the English pieces too.
Right.
Okay. Wow.
So
I have a question. Does worship look totally different if all of these songs are built for dancing?
Yeah, well, it starts with the Sunday school children getting in a line probably about 10, 15 yards away from the church.
Yeah.
They start singing. They literally dance their way into the church where everybody is standing, and the encouragement is huge. Okay, sometimes the pastor will actually be dancing in at the end with them. Haven't seen that?
Awesome.
This side of the pond.
Yeah.
And the kids go right up the front aisle. They've got their space, and they just about blow the roof off.
That's awesome.
It is so exciting. Then the congregation has their pieces. Interesting part, when they do the offering, the children are singing, and the idea is kind of an encouragement, to give your offering. Offering is sitting on a little table, big basket, and people, you ask if it looks different, literally dance their way up the aisle, drop it in. Everyone appreciates it, and then dance their way back to their place.
I love it. That sounds like so much fun.
I
want to go.
It's really,
bring that back.
really exciting. It really is.
That's interesting. I think that kind of reminds me of something. Lydia and I got to hear our brother-in-law, Caleb, preach a sermon a month and a half ago or so. And kind of the idea of the sermon was, we will not sit down until he arrives.
Ooh.
Of Christ's coming. And I think it was cool because he described very much like this joyful waiting. And I think it's cool to hear, kind of try to connect that with what you're talking about of this very active, exciting worship that is full of movement and joy and interaction between all these different parts of the congregation. And I think that just kind of encourages, well, I don't know, that idea of, we will not sit down until he arrives. That's really cool.
It's going to be the first line of a new song.
I did it.
That's beautiful. That is really, really, really nice.
Lydia, do you remember more of kind of that sermon, or do you understand what I'm saying? Can you give any more context on that?
I had a different connection though.
Please.
Because we just witnessed our first nephew get baptized.
Big stuff.
2 weeks ago. Oh my goodness. And the church that he was baptized at, the church that our sister and her husband are going to right now, it's in Milwaukee. So there's a much larger African American presence in their church than any of these churches in Mankato.
Right.
So it was so interesting. You could see this energy that you're talking about.
Yes.
Where there were 2 babies baptized that Sunday. And I had never experienced this before. They were the pastor finished what he was saying. And he said, let's celebrate. He said something like, let's celebrate these 2 baptisms that we've had today. And people just started cheering and clapping.
That is so nice.
And I had never experienced it before. And I was up there. I am so blessed to be the godmother of my nephew. So I was up there holding this baby, and people were like, yes! And even during the sermon, you could hear people saying amen every now and again. And I was like, yeah, there's this sort of active participation.
Yeah.
Yes.
In parts of the service that I hadn't experienced myself before. And it was just more energized. You could feel a little bit more energy than I usually felt in a Sunday service.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different flavor of participatory worship. That a different context has been set. And again, African American worship, you will sometimes see where it is literally a dialogue between the preacher and the congregation. Even, again, very exquisite, where the pastor takes on a role in the story. Classic example, Moses, and the congregation is the children of Israel.
No way.
And it is a story unfolding, and we are crossing. Come with me. We are, and it, boy, you're taken there in a different way.
Yeah.
That whole storytelling approach, a different vibe, a different energy.
Yeah.
but the idea that you're personally involved in a way that may give you a little more insight.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say, piggybacking on your thoughts on baptism, there's a famous Luther quote where Luther says, in baptism, the child is snatched from the jaws of the devil. And in some of the cultures I've worked with, where there is more of an emphasis on evil spirits, that evil spirits are certainly comprehended as a force to deal with, that they are certainly here. They're certainly trying to get us off track. They're pure evil incarnate. They are rabid. They know that when this time is up, that they will be in the lake of fire forever. Mm-hmm. And it's understood that the only thing that gives them a little twisted pleasure is to take as many people with them as they can. Mm-hmm. So imagine in the cultures that have more of an awareness of that. And Jason, you probably remember this, but it used to actually be, there was a section in the baptismal rite which was called the exorcism.
Oh, interesting.
And what people forget, until you just think, well, yeah, a child is born spiritually dead. Mm-hmm. The devil has the right to claim the baby's soul, eternal soul, because of original sin inherited from Adam and Eve. So imagine, I'm thinking in Asia, some of the groups that I've worked with, when it is baptism time, we have absolutely snatched that baby back from the devil. It is ours, and you get out of here. And that baby, by the blood of Jesus Christ, is now a child of God. You have slayed that red dragon at that moment as it pertains to that individual precious child. Mm-hmm. So again, you talk about the excitement, the intensity. This is in the trenches, front line. We're taking that baby back.
Yeah. You're saying it's not just emotional. It's not just like, yay, we're excited. It's real.
That's right.
That's actually what's happening. It is that intense.
Exactly. And so those are the things, again, with our society, our culture. Have we drained somehow? Have we somehow lost the intensity, the awareness of what just happened?
Yeah.
We have.
So that's
I think
exciting.
I think that has a lot to do with the way we sort of are surrounded by the Enlightenment, or sort of we accept scientific thought as a lens on reality. So what's observable, what's provable, what's material becomes accepted as like, well, that's what's real, and.
Right.
And Christians tend to have to compartmentalize if they're going to accept that context, and then in church accept all sorts of invisible, unprovable, improbable things.
Yes.
Right?
Very much so.
So that I think that's sort of a hidden confusion that people aren't really maybe not even aware of, that they have to put these things together or maybe make them compete against each other.
Sure.
I think what a tremendous benefit then is dance and images that we can create of what exactly is going on, since we don't have the benefit of being able to see this great battle that is happening around us all the time. Like, that's amazing that we can have things like art and
absolutely
things like demonstrations like that. That's pretty cool. Jason, yes, you've raised your hand. You may speak.
So I would like to introduce a quote into the conversation here from Abbot Sujet from the 1100s.
I know this one.
I love it. He said, "By the material, our hearts are drawn to the immaterial." He's talking about building Gothic cathedrals, the way that they have this verticality and the walls are full of light. There's this colored light that pours in. And when you enter this space, you recognize that the sound, the sight, just the lift of the whole place, the feeling that you have in that place, though it is visible, though it is material, it's made of stones and glass, and you can itemize it.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the point. The point is what it does to your heart, what it does to your relationship to your faith, how it stimulates your faith. The invisible is the purpose for that artwork, that physical artwork. And it seems to me that that's relevant to what we've just talked about. Baptism, right, is something that we physically see. We see the elements, we hear the words, and then, what you're bringing up is the invisible. What's behind it, what this all implies and refers to. And I just want to make the point that that's the intent of the arts. From a Christian standpoint, we produce objects, we produce stories, we produce events. But it's really important to remember that that's not the point. Mm-hmm. The object isn't the thing, the song isn't the thing, the performance, the book. It's what they cause you to realize, it's what they cause you to contemplate internally, invisibly, what they refer to invisibly.
I think that was a cool thing about Lydia's capstone, which she just had like a week ago, was... So, do you want to explain it really quick so that, because
What's it called?
You don't want to? What's it
It's
called?
called Parable.
She's making that smug face like, you can't make me talk.
I always have so much trouble talking about it, though.
Yeah. I what were the paintings?
That's a good question. No. Well, I just talked to Terry about them earlier today, so I'm feeling pretty warmed up.
Okay.
So I did, for my capstone presentation, my capstone project, I did 4 very large paintings. They were 12 feet tall, 9 feet wide. But the idea behind the paintings is that they communicated Bible stories through nature. So, for example, one of my favorites that I did is called Highly Favored, and it is about the Annunciation. It is meant to represent the Annunciation. First, understand that it is called parable because it directly relates in concept to Christ teaching his disciples and his followers through stories that always had a deeper Christian meaning. I wanted to be able to reflect that in my process and in the way that the artwork and the physical qualities and what you interpret the painting as. So this painting is a peacock that's flying up above this little bluebird in the corner. These physical things that you see, the peacock and the bluebird, they're a vessel for something deeper, for something spiritual, for something Christian, that you can draw from this painting. And all of these, the reason that Mary's bluebird, the reason that the angel Gabriel is a peacock, the reason that I painted all of this in this specific way, it all harkens to the Bible, the biblical, the story that we hear. So it's in its physicality, in what we see, there is something else that is the point. Like the peacock and the bluebird, it's what I painted, and it was fun to paint, but it's not the point.
Right. Yes.
There's something that you're meant to get from it. There's something that you're meant to understand from it. That is why I made it.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, I mean, what Lydia did was give the audience like a training session in think about this in a different way.
Exactly.
Like, remember what the point is.
Yeah, don't just look at this and be like, "Wow, that's such a nice painting."
Wow.
Yeah, don't. That's not the point. That's not the idea.
Right.
That's not why I painted it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Which is pretty cool.
Very effective.
And now we see
Yeah,
that
very.
music is that vessel, dance is that vessel. All of these arts are that vessel that we communicate something else inside of that.
Right. So what you're saying is like what Terry's talking about with the image of like this. Well, maybe let's go dance. So like them like dancing in or like dancing during the service. Are you kind of saying like that could be the same thing that what your paintings are doing? Perchance.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe. But like, yeah, the arts are the jar, and
What?
the faith is what's in it.
Shut it down. Shut down the podcast. Stop. That's all we need.
I always like the word that Luther used for music. He used the word vehicle. I don't know. He'd say music is the vehicle, but he would say that drives the message into the heart. And I thought that was a beautiful distinction, and yet still recognizing the absolute power of music. I mean, again, this is
Somehow I just pictured a car bomb.
A what?
Well, I actually don't think that's what he's talking
A car
what?
bomb?
explain it.
Well, like a suicide bomber.
Oh my gosh,
Jason.
I don't know. Like, I just have to say that out loud.
you're a crazy man.
Like, but what if, right? Like,
I like the idea of explosion. I mean, yes.
I mean, like, there's destructive work that needs to be done,
True.
right? And it kind of needs to be snuck past the borders.
TSA.
Well, snuck past your consciousness, maybe. The idea that you almost like have this subconscious, almost uncontrollable response to it. As I was saying before about you're literally, you have physiologically programmed yourself to respond to the music of certain years of your life. So yeah, it's powerful. It's so powerful that again, sometimes I think maybe we overdo Luther and his genius and brilliance and all that, but the only one you think of his contemporaries that Zwingli, those guys that were not afraid. He was not afraid of the power of music. And they were saying the other, from those movements that it so affects their emotions, almost like we can't handle it. We can't manage it properly.
So they were very suspicious of emotions.
Exactly, or of music's ability to release. They were suspicious of the power of the music. And so you got those early Protestant groups that limited the music, okay? Some that literally outlawed the use of instruments.
Wow.
Okay, some that simply did a few plain song, as they called it, using for their lyrics the Psalms, and absolutely penning it in with those requirements.
Right,
and
'cause
Luther,
it feels safer.
right? And Luther was the only one. You talk about breaking through barriers. You think before that, what was common? You had your Latin Mass, where nobody understood the words hardly, sung by a boys' choir. So it was not, congregational participation.
Yeah.
Literally, you had people sitting in church listening to other people sing words that they could not understand. Mm-hmm. And Luther comes in, puts it in German, and literally uses, it's called folk music for a reason. It's the music of the folk, used pieces with literally, they say, every single piece of music that is credited to Luther, you can find these little nuances, these turns of a phrase, absolutely related to folk music.
Cool.
Every
So
single
cool.
piece. For example, that I'm from heaven above to earth I come.
Mm-hmm.
A children's little game
Right.
melody.
No way.
So essentially what you're saying is he was tapping into what you talked about at the beginning, is this intuitive knowledge of music.
Yep.
That is so cool.
Exactly.
Just like in Uganda.
The exact thing. Literally the music of the people. The music that was played by the church. Oh, did he use bar music? It's like, no, yeah. Well, he wasn't using songs like 99 Bottles of Beer on the Wall.
Yeah.
Okay, he wasn't using those pieces.
That would be quite the
But
that'd be something.
was he using music played by traveling troubadours who would stop in, and we can call it an inn, call it a tavern, a place where food was served and beverages, and you could be there with your
tax
children.
collectors and prostitutes
Well, you got that right.
in the footsteps of Jesus.
Incredible. Again, you can't believe that Luther got it, so to speak.
Yeah.
And nobody else did at that time.
It's fun to see these folks in Uganda like accidentally following the steps of Martin Luther, where they're like, can we do it?
Exactly.
And Luther's seeing this in these churches. He's seen them, sing in Latin and everything, and he's like, what if we did it our way?
Right. It is astounding the things that he brought in onto the music. The congregational singing pieces that they even knew. They even used like pilgrimage songs, well known. We're off to see, to the Virgin Mary. We come to honor the Virgin Mary. It's like great melody, great piece. People already knew it with the wrong way. All right, we're off to honor the Trinity. We honor the Trinity. Would simply change a few individual words and would actually grab a well-known piece that originally had doctrinal errors in it, but didn't want to lose the music. It was so good, it was so catchy, it was so well known, and simply revised it and brought it right into the Lutheran Church.
It's fantastic.
One more, I don't know if I may, on, again, Luther's revolutionary music principles. Okay, he also was very into having songs that reflected contemporary issues. Okay, the only one that kind of survived its way to modern days, you may remember again in some of the older Lutheran hymnals, that line from, what's the song? Lord, keep us steadfast in your word, guard us from, and there's a word from Turk and Pope or something, but he actually has a reference to the Turks who were, attempting to take over the world. He has a reference to the Pope, who, as we have identified as the Antichrist. So actually wanted this in a song. Contemporary political issues.
You would see this in print too.
Correct.
The imagery that was coming out from the Lutheran Reformation.
Right.
Yes.
Was Jesus with two knights protecting him on either side?
No, I'm thinking more about the Pope giving birth to the devil or something like that.
Wow.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Forgot about that one.
I'm leaning into the rebel scum side of things.
But I think that also applies. Do you remember that one triptych you showed us in art history that was like, it was the birth of Jesus, and on two sides there were like knights and armor, and you were like, to us this looks old because all of the art looks old, but keep in mind when this was painted, this is like Jesus with two like soldiers holding AK-47s on each side. Like,
imagine SWAT
Tactical
soldiers, tactical
right,
soldiers.
Right. It's like SWAT, which is kind of, almost along the same lines of like contextualizing
super contemporary.
the word
Correct.
into a contemporary setting.
Fascinating.
Which is cool.
I saw one piece of research that credited Luther's, those early catechisms that had pictures where it's actually, one researcher actually said this is the first comic book.
Oh, no way.
Right. Now, I'm sure the Egyptians with their hieroglyphics would beg to pardon, but there was a picture, I'm sure you've heard of this, in one of his very early catechism editions that, in fact, had two images in the same picture. It was Cain and Abel, and the one picture of the smoke going up imposed on a larger picture of Cain slaying Abel.
Oh, interesting.
So
okay, cool.
you actually have, they say, for the first time, sequential art. You have two
I'm going
on
to take
one.
issue with that. I think there's a lot of competition going way, way back
Yeah,
Probably.
that's
to
still pretty
see
darn cool.
Probably.
sequential
Yeah.
art.
It's very interesting.
Yeah.
But the comic, like what that does is it elevates the comic medium because
Yes.
it turns out this idea of sequential images being used to deliver ideas or unfolding events or historical events, that's a tried and true ancient tradition.
True. What we do have today, which I find super fascinating, they talk about, the globalization of music. Okay, the fact that for the first time in world history, you can be anywhere and at any time hear any music, anything that's been, now digitally produced
Right.
for the first time, and usually for free. Exactly. So you can be sipping tea in Marrakesh, listening to 1930s Mississippi prison songs. You can't believe
It's a great band.
that's happened.
Yeah.
So they talk about the globalization. You hear that Hillsong style in a lot of places. Everybody. Also, one could talk about the globalization of the comic book form or animation in the way that anime has taken over the world. That you will find that Japanese cartoon sensibility all over the world. Like that has become kind of like a standard. And you learn how to read a comic book. Comic books have a vocabulary. Okay, the bubble with people speaking, the serrated edge, and it's their thinking. You actually load in a comic book vocabulary. But we are using pictures as your pictures is also your pictures all over the world now, and we forget the huge percent of cultures that are still low literacy. And the idea that with comic books, with pictures, this is a way to store information and transfer information. And again, by the grace of God, the Wells World Missions is really supporting the use of images in mission work, in evangelism, like never before.
I just want to make a note that that situation can be there and be ignored. These kinds of things happen, I think, throughout world history, and I'm about to pat you on the back. I think for you to recognize, let's say, the pervasiveness of manga or anime,
Right.
and then to see that as an opportunity, as like a world language,
Correct. That's
right?
right.
That's the kind of connection that has to be made. And then, there's an origin story behind what you just said. You took action, came to Bethany, and tried to solve that problem. You tried to figure out, what do we do about that? Can we make some stuff that engages people around the world visually? So I'm saying, thanks very much for the way that you see opportunities, like you've described with the Ugandan hymnal, and like you engaged our art department with around that sequential art style. I'm learning over and over that having an idea isn't enough.
Right.
You have to have a champion who will take action and see it through. Right? And so I'm recognizing that you have this pattern of doing that. You go and get things done. You have tremendous insight. You see opportunities. And then, as you said earlier, you're blessed with support.
Right.
You have this
Yes.
tremendous support to go for it. These situations are not necessarily givens. They're not necessarily always in place.
Right.
But we stand at a very interesting moment where there happens to be a lot of talent being trained right now, and you happen to be in a position where you see opportunities and you're authorized and you're authorizing, and others are authorized and authorizing, I really think that something is happening right now.
Right.
Just felt like saying that.
Like our Medici.
Yes.
What'd you say?
I said he's like our Medici.
He's our Medici.
There's a...
Our Medici, I suppose.
I'll go right past that, Lydia.
I'll tell you what.
It sounds like something that comes with spaghetti. But anyway,
Medici.
what was I going to say? Oh, where this gets very interesting. And here, again, I just am so excited about this intersection of visual art and world missions, and bringing the gospel message, and a combination of both trained artists and, again, indigenous artists. Mm-hmm. Okay. We're doing a project right now. We've got the Bible stories that were done. We're doing a catechism in pictures project, again, for low literacy groups. What gets so fascinating, okay, when you're dealing with the biblical cultures, then everyone kind of comes together. Everyone is okay with how Bible stories are drawn. Okay. In fact, this was a big insight over the years. I saw this first in Africa, later in Asia, as we've done these Bible story projects. Creating sequential art posters to make it real easy for a Sunday school teacher to work through a Bible story. That each place I've worked with insisted that Jesus be drawn as a Anglo person. Not as an African, not as an Asian. And what's interesting is, I was... Every time I'd ask, do we want Jesus to look African? Would you prefer Asian? Obviously, Mediterranean, olive skin is historically, accurate, but would this be helpful? Mm-hmm. Every time I've asked that question, the same response, and it always started with a chuckle every time. And usually a pat on the back, like, Terry, yeah, Jesus needs to look like Anglo, European background, because that's all people have seen, and otherwise they will never recognize him. And throw in the disciples too. Jesus and the disciples need to look European roots, because that's all anyone's ever seen, and they will never know that that's Jesus in the picture.
Right, so there's a familiarity.
Right. There is something that's been imposed on these cultures, and because that isn't either, that's not historically accurate either, as I'm pointing out.
Yeah, but isn't that a little bit like the bar song? Now, like, it's become this familiarity, regardless of where it comes from. Where we are now is, well, this is what we're used to.
Correct.
This is what we know.
That's right. Interesting point. I always make the point too of, again, you think in Latin America, you've got rumba, samba, tango, mambo, reggaeton, reggae, all those styles. Okay, and we talk about what we say. You call them rhythms of the street. About half those came from Cuba, of all places, where you had this. That's a whole story in itself. What happened in that island between the Spanish influence and the African influence? Anyway. Interesting question is, when does what I call a rhythm of the street, or even a rhythm of the club, when is it welcome in the doors of the church and become a rhythm or a style of the church? And here, once again, you leave that decision up to the culture. They will tell you, oh, reggae, it is, why not? Of course we would want reggae in our church. It goes great with steel drums. Those kind of things. Where you get in trouble, where we have trouble since, it starts back with Henry the Navigator, whatever era that was, who brought the Latin Mass with him to Africa. The Spanish, the conquistadores, who literally dragged pipe organs across South America, thinking that the only music pleasing to God came from an organ.
Peculiar.
It's amazing. But so much of missions comes to, it's like honoring, respecting the culture that you serve, and absolutely allowing them to call the shots.
Mm-hmm.
And you've seen this, like, play out?
Over and over and over. Wow. And it includes, here's what's interesting is you can take absolutely every facet of foreign mission work and give it a real good historic analysis. Mm-hmm. Another example. How do you what constitutes a seminary education? What qualifies for a seminary trained pastor? Well, it's someone, it's as simple. And again, the early missionaries, hardworking, dedicated, don't get me wrong, extraordinary frontier guys. But the idea of reproducing a little Mequon, or a little Mankato in a foreign country, as in we will lecture, they will take notes, and we will have exams. Mm-hmm. When the person who would have really been nice to have on the team would have been, of course, what else? An anthropologist who simply studies another culture. And you ask the question, how is learning transferred in that culture?
Right.
How is information stored? One question that's now being asked. Okay, you go into a culture with other kinds of spiritual leaders. Maybe it's the occult practitioners. Okay, how for, so many generations has a spiritual leader in a village passed on his wisdom to the next spiritual leader? Well, he didn't take them into a classroom and have them sit at a desk and take notes.
Yeah.
Okay, it was more of a mentoring, you could say an apprenticeship, that kind of a thing. So right now, people are making a case for, do you want to train a pastor? You have that mentoring model where you simply have a pastor that passes on the wisdom, the things he has learned, the Bible-based doctrine, he passes that on. It's this ongoing process, but you do not see a classroom where everyone was brought together and made to sit and listen to lectures. And pure and simple, there are few methods less productive, less efficient than the lecture model.
So I hear an echo there in what you said earlier, where you described Luther taking a great tune that just needed a little bit of a twist in order for it to be appropriate and correct in its content.
Correct.
Right? But you had a format that was great. So seminary training could potentially be like shaman in training, except that your content gets repaired, gets fixed. But the format or the vessel, right, is good and fine. You just have to swap your content.
You are hitting it exactly on the head. That is exactly it. Who are the spiritual leaders and what did they do? This part, again, so fascinating. Okay, where you see they use that umbrella label, occult practitioners. Mm-hmm. Okay, whether it's a Peruvian shaman, a Haitian voodoo priest, a Apache medicine man, an African witch doctor, medicine man, voodoo priest, shaman. It's extraordinary the commonalities between, these are all occult practitioners who people feel have a gift for contacting the spirit world. Mm-hmm. Okay, and then they will also, teach about what to do to, placate the spirits, what to do to get blessings. If there's one word to describe those religions, that word would be manipulation. It's all about manipulating the spirits to either bring blessings or to curse your neighbor, et cetera, et cetera. But as you just mentioned, Jason, the actual format, the model for how, the shaman's practice is passed on to another is simply someone, walking alongside that shaman. Mm-hmm. Okay. Very often it's a hereditary thing that's like, well, that's the shaman's son's going to be. He'll get that gift to you. The gift part is out of whack, of course. But again, we lose track of how extraordinarily foreign it is, especially places again where we've worked, where young men had to leave their villages to get their seminary training. Okay, now you'll leave your village. Well, do you bring the family along? Well, yeah, but you cannot believe the layers of discomfort, messiness, strangeness that went with, again, imposing that Amero-European seminary training model on these other cultures.
So interesting. So when you move into these cultures, you have to have an open mind to the point of something like, how do these people learn, to how does this culture experience like spirituality? Like
exactly.
That is so interesting. That's extensive.
Yeah.
Like,
I want to just
to get good at.
I want to make the point though that when you made your list of the shaman, the medicine man,
right?
I wonder if these locations are first-hand locations for you. I assume that you have met these people.
Yeah. It's. I've met.
This is not right. Like you're living it.
Yes,
you're uncommon.
This is not textbook. Like you are that engaged real life model. Right? It's not just theory. You're not just talking about theory. These are experiences.
Oh, hugely. And again, boy, you think how clearly the Bible addresses, those things. Okay, there are, for example, Amazon tribes where, the Wycliffe people came in, the Bible translators. That's a whole nother thing. But they would document these tribes, and certain tribes, they would say if there was one word you would use to describe that tribe, that word would be fear. Fear of the evil spirits in the jungle, fear of the evil spirit-possessed dolphins. If your child falls off the raft in the Amazon River and is never seen again, the evil dolphins took him to a watery underworld. If your wife disappeared taking a walk in the jungle, she went under the wrong tree and a spirit snatched her up and she was never seen again. If someone's got enough money, they will pay the shaman to put a curse on you. And they talk about black magic, white magic, green magic, red magic, as in, paying to have a death curse on somebody. So you're living this life of fear. And I remember the first time we entered a tribal village. And
where are you?
I'm in the Amazon, on the edge of the Amazon jungle. We've been working in these mestizo or these mixed blood villages. And it's kind of like across the river, deep is where the tribes are. You always, of course, you're just so fascinated. Plus, places that have never heard the name of Jesus Christ. Yeah. So we're in this mestizo village in Yurimaguas. And this guy who's seen us working, named Emilio, he's like, you wanna visit the tribes? He's like, yeah, I've been waiting for years. And he goes, okay. He goes, I've got permission to enter this Shawi village. He goes, I'm an expert hunter, and they let me in. And for all the animals I shoot, I give them half, and I take half. So I have permission that I will take you in to this Shawi village. On the river, hours and hours and hours, walking down this jungle trail, hours and hours and hours, finally get to the edge of the village. And Emilio says, hang on, I'll go in and ask the elders if it's okay for you to, to come in. So standing, one white guy, two Peruvians. Not the same.
He's making height gestures.
Yeah.
Don't want to hurt any
Turns
feelings
out
here.
Terry's tall.
Exactly. And a couple of the women, saw me and the other two guys at the edge of the village, let out a shriek, grabbed a child under each arm. They're in this kind of common grounds and these thatched roof houses on stilts on the sides. Grab a child under each arm and race into the closest hut. Okay, now you talk to the Peruvian anthropologists, and they said that, the tribes, so many of the tribes had learned the only reason a white person would enter a tribal village was to steal the children. And it's like for all these generations, some Peruvian anthropologists trace it all the way back again to the conquistadores, who went to the tribes and kidnapped the young men to use in their silver mines. So going back, great-great-great-great-great-grandfather, who taught that the only reason a white man would show up at a tribal village was to steal the children. Now it includes the children and the young men. And like, oh my gosh, great-great-great-great-great-grandfather was right. He's here. So they're running, grabbing the children. Emilio goes in, takes them 45 minutes. Finally, we get permission to enter. And the men are standing in a circle. We can, be in the middle there. They've each got a machete on their side, just in case we do something unexpected. But again, by the grace of God, knowing what we knew from the Wycliffe people, the first thing I said was, thank you for our opportunity to be here. We'd like to tell you about...
Are you speaking English?
God. No, I was going through I was speaking super rudimentary Spanish, and there was a guy, they knew a little Spanish for trading purposes. So then who knows how good the translation was, but he was translating. But we simply said, we know it's possible to live a life without fear. And you could tell it got translated. They're like, who do you think you are? And we said we want to describe the true God. And again, going back to what you learned.
It's like you said, I don't believe in gravity. Something like that.
You got that right. Yeah, it was beyond unimaginable. But see, again, you think of what the Bible teaches about that so-called natural knowledge of man. Thank God, we're thinking that too. And like this is the whole idea that you can go anywhere in the world. And there's three things, and I know you guys know this. There's three things you can say about everyone, anywhere, at any time. As the Bible teaches, number one, there's something greater than us, as Paul says, from the witness of nature. You just know there's a higher being. Okay. Number two, from your conscience, you just plain know that your relationship with that higher being isn't so hot. You just know that. And number three, you just know there's got to be something after this life. This can't be it. So you go in there and you say, there is this, we know this God. He sent his son to live this life and pay for our guilt, we're using real super broad strokes. But basically, as got immediately to, and he has defeated the devil and the evil spirits. Supai, that's the name of the devil in their language. Everybody's got a devil, it seems. And we say he defeated Supai and his underlings, the demons. we waited on the edge of the village longer than we actually, the presentation was less than 30 minutes. And we just simply, a little bit of law and gospel. But the biggest thing, and again, anthropologists who study, missiology, it's come so far. And they say, they call it, the redemption analogy. There's different ways you can talk about the courtroom scene. You're declared not guilty. The redemption analogy that totally resonates with animists, those who believe it's all about the evil spirits, right, and the good and bad spirits, is Jesus defeating the devil. But we said, we live our lives without fear because of this God who loves us, who sent his son, who took our place and paid for our sins, our guilt. Again, you don't know how much of this is taking or not, but you aren't afraid of anything. God calls us his children through faith in him, through confidence in his promises. So we're there for about 30 minutes. We just like to come back, and tell you some more about this. Okay, go over there. So these are the elders, they go to the side. Another 45 minutes.
Wow.
Literally. The chief comes back, smiles. Sure. And at that same village where the moms snatched up their kids and ran in fear, one day understood. We actually had a Lutheran grade school there for a while. And every child in that village was baptized. And the intensity of the connection to that village. And they always said, as time went on, more deeply grasping that if that message hadn't made it to that village, they'd have all been lost. You talk about friends for life. I will see some of these guys in 2 weeks, over 20 years later, that are coming into Terapoto for a seminary class that will be taught 100% with pictures.
That is so cool.
Wait, with our pictures?
You will have some of your pictures will be there? And see, and again, I'm circling around here.
What a way to tell a story.
Crazy,
circling around like crazy. Story. But again, people learn to understand a picture. And there's been just enough exposure to pictures. The first time the first time I took a photograph, I remember showing the photo to one of the tribal ladies, and her eyes function. Mm-hmm. She is seeing, but she kept going like this. She goes.
He's gesturing to the back of the photo.
She couldn't.
This is an audio medium. People can't see you.
But she had never seen a picture of herself. Mm-hmm. Oh. Yeah, I got to talk about magic. So the first time we took a picture, and we waited a long time till people were comfortable being around us. I remember after about half a dozen villages, one of the really, really brave little boys walked up to me, and he starts poking me. And he said, well, they thought you might still be a ghost. They wanted to know if you were solid or not.
Oh my goodness.
Because they never saw a white person before.
Yeah.
They
just think you're real pale.
Right. But I mean, again, think of, what you can, even with your pictures. Okay. First, you talk about Jesus, the good shepherd who watches over his sheep. And they're like, through the translator, Pastor Terry, what's a sheep? And then when the proof asks, I'll handle this one. Okay, sheep. It's a cross between a llama and a pig. So it's like, guys, we're talking about a little animal. Just worry about it's a little animal, okay?
That is so Oh my goodness, that's
right.
cool.
You can't believe it.
Yeah, that's
A
crazy.
cross. Someone cut down a tree and they made it go this way and that way. Now that you draw a picture.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't know what nails were, but the guy hung, the Son of God hung on this thing made out of wood in the shape of, 2 pieces of tree. And his suffering, his precious blood paid for the sins of the world. Why? And that's how people were executed. Why would the government allow someone to be hung on some wood? When you talk about different
Yeah.
sense of what happened and how horrendous and unjust that was. So all kinds of things like, I'll just add one last one. Back to the picture. So the first time we took a picture, it's like nobody knew what we're doing. They're going to be so excited when they see this. So we've got everybody lined up in front of one of the thatch roof dwellings. Okay, everybody lined up there. Had my camera. And you go, and the light flashes. And everyone runs. And then they slowly come back. Wow. This is magic. They go, Pastor Terry, how were you able to catch lightning in that little box and let it out whenever you want?
Oh my goodness.
And I'm like, guys, all right, so that we're fine with this. And, come back, show them the picture. Oh my gosh, all that stuff. Okay, so can we do this again? Yeah, okay. Everybody line up in front. so you got literally, you've got people on one side and people like, move together. No, that's okay. Okay, guys, get all together. No. Why?
They want to be able to run.
Well, who's ever in the middle is most likely going to get hit by the lightning.
Oh, wow.
So
They're the bullseye.
Exactly. So getting a little far afield, but
Terry, I just constantly want to hear everything that's ever happened to you.
Yeah. I'm like,
I don't know how to access it, but like that's such a tiny sliver of what I perceive to be an encyclopedia of experience all over the globe.
You're right.
Because I've heard you talk about Nepal, and I've heard you talk about Pakistan, and you talk about Lima. One time you were telling me as you were leaving the YFAC here on the campus of Bethany, you were saying, well, I've got to get a plane. I love telling this story. I got to get a plane to go to Dubai because I'm going to meet some Pakistani percussionists.
Oh, yeah.
To get their recordings to take to Lima so that they can remix it for this world music project that we're working on. And I thought, this man is like, this is Mission Impossible. He's Jason Bourne. He's everywhere, doing everything with everybody.
Yeah, it's the part that I can honestly say is the most exciting is these places where it is so much harder to be a Christian. Okay,
you said exciting.
Well, the exciting part is that you are giving them more resources, more ammunition. They are
You're
absolutely.
an arms dealer.
You got it. Yeah, that's. Oh, I got to write that down. But that's the part.
Metaphorically, right?
Right.
Like we're broadcasting metaphorically.
And a couple of those countries, I'm not even going to mention which ones, but to teach a seminary class, and you ask, how many of you have been beaten for being a pastor in your country, in your village? And every hand goes up. Countries, I will just say this much, countries that are predominantly Hindu. And as people have fondly said, this isn't the Hinduism of the Beatles, with a nice, soft, everyone's got a different route, and that's fine. Imagine if your entire culture has said everybody's route is fine to paradise. And you say, well, Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, the life. And who are you? And we are going to burn your place down. And that's more than one country. So you go in there and are just, man, that room full of guys that take beatings, that literally get jailed and come out and do it again.
Yeah.
And they're getting excited to get pictures.
There's crazy courage at play here.
Nothing less. You can't, and there's just a different intensity. And you are in hand-to-hand combat with the devil himself. You are not going to get that village. And we certainly don't believe in group conversions, every individual, of course. But when a village chief says, hey, these guys got the truth, man, does that help.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big deal. So,
okay,
yeah.
Terry, every
Of
now
course.
and then when you and I are in a corner talking semi-softly and you're like leaning into me and in the way that you do, you like to say to me a Luther quote about the end of your life. Could you say that for us?
I never get the exact wording, but I love it. Where Luther said, when you get to the end of your life, you should feel like you have absolutely used up everything. Every gift that God has put into you. You want to be able to stand there and say, it was all in there for a reason. The exquisite combination is something, but you want to be able to stand before the Lord and say, I used it all up. Mm-hmm. But is that a segue to artists?
I want to mention a slightly similar C.S. Lewis quote.
Yes.
I can't remember it word for word, but
give
that'll
it a
be
shot.
necessary. But there's a quote where C.S. Lewis is talking about his death or the death of any Christian. And he says, when I die, I hope that all of hell rejoices that I'm out of the game.
Yeah, something like that I've left the battlefield.
Yeah, that I
something like that.
Man, that's nice.
Yeah. Where
That
it's
is
like,
nice.
Yeah.
The other thing that, again, we're my usual jump around, but when you see the huge transformation that takes place in a place devoid of Christianity, when the Spirit absolutely transforms that village. Again, returning to the Amazon tribals that we worked with, the Shawi, those natural beliefs, and then what the culture kind of convoluted it into. Okay, before Christianity came, they were convinced that, especially a child, when a child would die, okay, in huge parts of the Amazon among the indigenous people, okay, they will have 6 children. In fact, it's this weird, like you can see this band all the way around the world in these certain settings, without a lot of development, okay, without a lot of health care. You see this average of 6 children. People have 6 children, hoping that at least 3 of them will be boys, and that at least 1 or 2 of them will grow to maturity to take care of mom and dad. It's almost like this natural social security. 6 children, 3 are boys, 1 or 2 makes it to maturity to take care of mom and dad. Okay. In the Amazon, 1 out of 3 children dies before the age of 3. I'm sorry, before the age of 6. 1 out of 3 children dies before the age of 6. Now, people are it's not uncommon to get married at a very early age. Okay, as soon as the woman can have children, okay, in many groups, it's announced to the tribe, and the woman can now get married. So you'll have men and women getting married at 14, 13, even at 12 years old. So it is not uncommon to have 6, 8, 10, 12 children when you start having children that early. Yeah. So if 1 out of every 3 dies before the age of 6, you can't imagine the heartache on a young mom and dad. Before Christianity, okay, the tribal belief was that, the child has died and it needs to cross over into the spirit world. Okay, some kind of a place. Nobody knew too much about it, but there was this, like a good part of the spirit world to cross over. Okay, but the child is so forlorn, it shouldn't have died that early. So sad that it won't cross over. Mom, in her unrelenting grief, will wake up at night and hear the child calling for her mom. It's like just losing your mind over grief. So the tribal tradition was to take that thatched roof, pole dwelling, completely deconstruct it, move it less than 10 yards away, reconstruct it, with the idea that the child's spirit would lose its way, trying to find home, and finally cross over. Mm-hmm. The whole thing is just dismal from one start to the other. You want to talk about a loving God? Imagine coming in and teaching that, these children, death is a part of living here in the jungle. As you know, that child has an eternal soul. And we have come to tell you that God has a way to make sure that child's going to be saved. Okay, the washing of regeneration of life in baptism. And you come back to that village, you'd get there once a month, and every other month, some child had died. And you look that mom straight in the face and said, "You're going to see that child again." Jesus' blood guarantees it. You will see your child again. You will hold your child again. And that mom is looking you right in the eye, full of tears, and nodding. And when we first brought that teaching of baptism, and it was understood, man, talk about going down to the river. Every single child, and this is just a village of about 50. They only have about 50 because there's enough animals and plants within a 1 day's walk to support about 50 people. Every single baby and child going down to the river. And we loved the whole submersion thing. Okay, especially with the adults, just the idea that you have, you are drowning the old man and the new man rises up. So we're in that river, and a certain famous Amazon fish is nipping at your heels, and you're rushing through this thing pretty darn quick.
Piranhas?
Yes.
Piranhas.
Right.
I'm starting to snack on you.
Exactly. And you talk about rejoicing. And
from the jaws of death.
Nothing less. And the celebration. And, we taught baptism It was going to be a month later, so they had a month to, for the men to go out and shoot up some animals. Waited till about, close to about a week before. So you have got a pile of. You've got large monkeys. You've got small monkeys. You've got anteater. You've got tapir. Rodent. You've got all of this stack, and all celebration breaks loose because everyone absolutely grasps that Supai, the devil, just lost every one of our kids, and Jesus has got him in his arms.
If any of you feast readers out there are wondering why this show is called Whistle the Feast, that was it. Terry, I read a book called Art Plus Faith by Makoto Fujimura. He's kind of a leading mind on Christian art today. And he claims, or he calls artists border stalkers.
Whoa.
Of every civilization or every sort of culture. They serve this role for that culture of going out to the edge of what is known and poking at the boundaries. It's a stance on reality. And every culture, kind of needs to have that stable core, that center, that maintains, that keeps things running, makes sure that there's certainty and assurance and stability. But the role of the artist is similar to the role of an explorer. Mm-hmm. They're going out there and expanding what's known. And I hear that in you. I hear the border stalker in you. Do you have any idea why you're like this? Because there's something unrelenting in you that has to get into the Amazon and has to get into Nepal.
Yeah, I'll tell you, this is the part Mary always cringes, my wife. Cringes. Grew up just crazy about music. I was just, again, the Beatles, the first time they're on TV. Somehow my parents bought me a transistor radio, and I'd fall asleep with the thing on under my pillow. Absolutely crazy about music. Went to music school, Eastern Illinois University, got a degree in music. There weren't any Lutheran churches down there of our fellowship. And afterwards, just wanted to be a drummer in a rock band, like everyone. Uh-huh. And can honestly say I just lost my way. And that whole just little step by little step. And to sit here today and say, man, the bands were successful. I mean, it was rocking. A couple of offers for full-time work in Las Vegas. Mm-hmm. And I can honestly say, just lost my way. Ran off the rails, polite way to put it. And really, just completely lost it. But each time, could have gone to that next step and just felt God pull me back. First time, full-time work, your job is 9 to 1 or 9 to 2, big bucks. You're sitting behind a set of drums all night. Oh my goodness. So I didn't take the offer, left the band. Everybody's super mad. Start playing with another band, doing a lot of work, loving it. Same exact thing, full-time work in Las Vegas. Just pulled back from the precipice, left the band. Everybody's mad.
Wow.
Right, exactly. Yeah. You got that right. Met my wife, Mary. And as a lot of us, as you see, just helped kind of straighten me out. But I will say this. There's just something about knowing you just about lost it for eternity.
Mm-hmm. That'll do it.
Exactly. That's exactly it.
Wow.
That will do it. It's just like, man, whew, I can't believe it. Mm-hmm. And if there's a warning in all this, like I said, all of a sudden you go off to college and you don't go to church, and everything else is big and cool and rocking, like I said. So you don't wake up one day and say, oh, I'm going to just ditch my walk with the Lord. But you take those little steps. So I'll tell you, number one, it's knowing that I practically lost it, and eternity was at stake. So that's a big, huge part of it. And the second part, all through college, I did in the Twin Cities, a lot of like pit orchestra, playing for musicals, that kind of thing. Bad choices there too, all over the place. But you're around theater people and musicians and actors and set designers, and there's something about being around, especially I think theater people, where you're just like, everything's big. You're just so used to expressing it.
Yeah.
So that I always saw as a big influence. But the other thing, and we've talked about this, Jason. So I did the second career thing, obviously. In case there was any doubt.
What do you mean you're not in Vegas?
Right. But see, I always think, it is super, super, super rare that at the SEM you see a theater major, an art major, maybe a music major once in a great while, but especially theater majors and art majors. See, what do you have to be good at to get into the SEM? You got to be good at book learning. You got to get those 2 years of Hebrew and Greek undergrad. Here's where you're in trouble. Okay, I'm doing the second career thing. Mary's like, yeah, you can do it. I'm going to Bethany here. Fabulous, fabulous. Everybody's encouraging. Everybody. The secretaries, hang in there, Terry. Yeah, right. You're doing this thing and you're in your 30s. Here's where you're in trouble, though. Taking first year Greek. And I'm like, fine, I can tell the Lord I gave this a shot and it did not work. And your Greek teacher, Glenn Reichwald, comes up to you, pats you on the back. Honestly, you can't make this stuff up, and says, don't worry, Terry. A D is still passing.
That was God.
You got that right.
Oh, man.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think of this constantly. Man, if you had theater majors, people that are just so expressive, so emotional, and artists, you're just putting your emotions right in front of you on canvas, kind of thing. Art, theater, music majors, would make great pastors and missionaries.
Yeah, I don't want to go into this too much, but
Sure.
the seminary, the Northwestern Seminary recruiter told me otherwise when I was in high school. I was very interested in pastoral training, and I was discouraged. Like I said, I don't want to go into that too much.
Okay, right. Yes.
But what I do want to go into is I think that now Bethany is doing something almost like what you're saying, right? We're not putting fine arts people into seminary, but we are definitely working at using the arts in conjunction with our faith.
Yes.
Combining them.
Huge.
Very intentional about that.
Yes. You can't overstate that. It is no stretch to say right now. And again, you think of those Bible story pictures. Okay, you're given 2 posters. Tell the story. Everyone had to do their homework, study, what does God want us to know about this? I can sit here today and say that artwork is now penetrating the seminary education in various locations. Like I said, when the tribal leaders come into Tarapoto, on the edge of the Amazon basin there, they will be loaded up at their seminary course, because this is seminary training. These are the leaders, and they will hear the stories. And their final exam is, and they don't really, it's a culture that teaches no one should stand out too much. It's the community. Okay, but you do need, someone who has loaded in some treasures of God's wisdom. You are the person to share this. Their final exam is to hold up that poster and tell the story.
This is ridiculous.
I don't think so.
I've never heard this.
Yeah, and if they have trouble,
fantastic.
Then we are all there to help them.
Come on.
That's so cool.
Okay, so to recap that, Bethany art students
Yes.
are producing testable seminary content.
Yes.
Worldwide.
Yes.
These two sitting in this room.
Yes.
Hey.
Yeah, they've helped with our
And
seminary
others.
curriculum.
Terry.
Yeah. Well, again,
I'm going to need a few days to process that.
Yeah. Well,
the email,
take your
to be
time,
honest,
Lydia.
yeah.
And again, see, it's as simple as remembering, a picture stores information. I love that. A little anthropology goes a long ways. A picture stores information. It's visual note-taking.
Mm-hmm. By the material, our hearts approach the immaterial.
There you go. Exactly, 100%. So, again, we want our leaders to do this with confidence. And we don't want them running off into false doctrine either. So, we will just say, just describe what you see in the pictures. Now, this is still being filtered through a person who lives deep in the Amazon jungle. Okay, some of these guys, case in point. All right, you're not going to believe, this true story, Jonah and the whale. And the prophet was God was sending to Nineveh, but he didn't want to go, and he thought he would escape and hide from God. Jumps on a ship. God causes a big storm. They figure out it's the prophet. And he says, guys, throw me overboard. They throw the prophet overboard. This big fish swallows him. We had the same thing happen 2 months ago at our village. What? There was this boy. This boy. They said he was a little chunky, but he would just love to go up on the top of a cliff and jump down, and we could all hear him. He'd go at the top of the cliff, jump into the river. This is great. He loves it. A couple of seconds later, goes up to the top of the cliff, jumps down, goes in the river, over and over. Everybody's yeah. We'll call him Eric. Eric jumps in. No more Eric. What happened? Everybody goes, Eric, whatever. Oh, man. Some big fish swallowed him and took him away. So you come in with Jonah and the whale. They're like, we had the same thing happen.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Wow, the stance on Jonah from, I think the modern stance on Jonah is like, come on.
Right.
That did not happen.
That
They're
is
like,
so,
Right.
It's so
I hate it
unbelievable
when that
that it
happens.
was so believable to them.
Yeah.
That they were
Right.
like, yeah,
perfectly
that'll
said,
happen.
Lydia. Right. Right. Which actually increased the believability of it.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you try to hide from
100%.
God, there'll be consequence. Well, look, he can do this. We've seen it.
It just happened to Eric.
Right.
Yeah. Just the other day.
Right,
Oh.
which I think in turn is there are things, the believability, there are things with us in our culture that works with. We understand easily Jesus on the cross and how a government could execute someone like that. And to them that was, why would the government do that to someone?
That's right.
Or
We know
how
what
would
sheep
that
are.
work? We know what sheep are.
The llama
and a
pig.
Right.
So that believability fact, that is crazy.
It really
That's
is.
so interesting.
That's so. It must be crazy to be able to see this happen over and over again in different cultures with every part of the Bible and figuring out what cultures understand which parts inherently because of how they've grown up and how they've been raised, and see which parts of the Bible that are completely out of anything that they've heard of before.
Right.
Which
right.
parts are normal quote unquote normal, and which parts are just unbelievable.
Oh, you couldn't say it more clearly, Lydia. Demonic possession. Such a big thing in so many places.
Yeah.
And we like to set the table by saying, if your village, through the shamans, the Haitian voodoo priest, the Peruvian shaman, the witch doctor, the medicine man, if your culture, your village has invited the evil spirits to come around, they are certainly coming around. Mm-hmm. But imagine in a mestizo, mixed race village, kind of on the edge of the Amazon basin before you drop into the jungle, one of our members, junior high teacher, and you talk about textbook, one of his junior high students messing with the Ouija board. There's a Spanish version of it, and kind of like acting like she's into all this stuff. All of a sudden, one day in class, junior high, normal classroom, a couple dozen kids, starts shrieking and is thrown on the cement floor. And the students and the teacher are like, oh, great. So everyone is allowed to go out of the classroom.
Wait, so you're implying like everybody knows, oh, great, a demon possession.
Exactly.
Oh.
Exactly. So everyone is let out. It's like, it's not, it's still pretty scary, but it's not surprising.
It's like getting COVID.
Right. Scary, but not surprising. Everyone is set to go, except he keeps 6 of the bigger boys in the classroom and says, we'll call her Evelyn, says, we got to, get Evelyn, pick her up and move her somewhere, a little more comfortable. They've called the medics, etc. The 6 boys cannot pick her up. And they're like, oh, man, they absolutely cannot pick her up. And it's like, no doubt on this one. This is a demon possession. Everyone else clear out. The medics come. A priest was called. This is before the guy was understood our Bible-based teachings. Mm-hmm. But the absolute commonality of it is pretty striking.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And almost the matter of fact we have to deal with this, but again, sobering. Yeah. That girl's messing around. The demons certainly saw an open door, and that girl's immortal soul is in danger. Mm-hmm. So in those respects, it's not like again, the difference in cultures, or it's like, well, yeah, it was a demon possession. Can't believe it. It's 6th grade, Tuesday at 2:00. I got a student with a demon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
There's a loophole here that I want to explore with you.
Yep.
Because I've been contemplating this. So part of what you're describing is a disparity between what cultures think is normal, right? You're sort of implying this shrug, like, oh, another demon.
Right.
Right. And that seems so outside of sort of the modern Western view of reality. How does reality really work? And I touched on this earlier, talking about sort of the Enlightenment thought or the industrial sort of preoccupation with what we can see, what we measure, right? Okay, so here's the loophole.
Right.
As Christians, we touched on this earlier. What really happens at baptism? And we acknowledge that we know this. We talk about how that child that's baptized is transformed, saved, and I'm leading up, I'm trying to lead up to the punchline here. Is it true that we believe in possession by the Holy Spirit? Consider that This might be the loophole that helps people get it from our sort of post-industrial Enlightenment standpoint. We regularly, and so check me on this, isn't it true that we regularly talk about being possessed by a spirit that affects our behavior and it affects our desires? But it's the Holy Spirit. And when that Holy Spirit is in residence, there's no vacancy. Move along, this one's taken.
Right. Yeah, that is fascinating. I love going back to the verse that talks about to those who are, where Paul writes about those who are being lost, that the gospel is foolishness. And I always take that as the marker. A lot of Tuesday nights I go to a RCI, Racine Correctional Institute, do a Spanish session with the prisoners there. And you talk about excitement. Here's a room full of guys who did some stuff so bad they're getting sat down for years. And I go, look at yourselves. You're sitting there in that orange jumpsuit in this room with a pastor ready to hear God's word. And you think of yourself a few years ago when you were running wild in the streets. Yes or no? Sí or no? Yeah. Por supuesto, of course. I said, would you have ever thought you're going to sit here on a Tuesday night hearing how much God loves you and how much he tells you, don't be afraid of anything? What are the words the Bible uses? What are you doing here? You're a stranger. You're a foreigner. You're a pilgrim. I go, guys, you come out of this life with your faith intact, and Lord knows it wasn't when you came in. That is being possessed by the Holy Spirit. Mm-hmm. That's a perfect word for it. Perfect word for it. Or as one guy likes, he goes, I wasn't holding Jesus' hand when I came in here. Mm-hmm. I will be when I walk out of here. So I love that analogy. How many times, Paul says, you were dead. You were dead. And it is an absolute resurrection that's taken place. And that really cues us up for, baptism being that you do for children. That baby needs to be resurrected. You were dead. The dead can't do nothing. Oh, I think I'll be alive today. I think I'll be alive. Yeah. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
So, I do like, I don't know if I've heard the word possessed used before in conjunction with the Holy Spirit. But, man, if you're not going to think God's plan of salvation is foolishness, let's see now. The Son came, took on flesh, lived a perfect life. His perfect sacrifice paid for everyone. And we're going to keep sinning until the last day, but we still get saved? That is not going to make sense unless you're possessed by the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
Right.
Huge point.
This
Huge point.
Alien faith from outside of us.
Right. Yeah.
I love this podcast so much. This episode is what we would call a banger. It's a bop. This is an instant classic. I guarantee. I think we knew it when we started, before we started. Terry, we are so honored to know you, to be with you, and grateful that you share with us some slivers, some tiny little glimpses into some really serious lived experience. I think I don't think you're quite capable of of receiving the kind of accolades that you deserve. I think you will deflect, very likely. So I'm not going to try real hard. But I have just such deep admiration for the way you spend yourself. Right? That's what's happening.
I'll cut you off. As only a friend can do.
Thank you.
As only a friend can do.
Thank you.
What you have that you didn't receive. I mean, come on, guys. Really? What you have that you didn't receive. And like I said, ran off the rails. Completely. And I can close with my favorite quote about mission work. It takes a really deep faith, and it takes courage for so many to go after an art degree when you know darn well there's not a whole lot of market for art majors. And you talk about stepping out in faith. And who's going to be cleaning dorm rooms over the summer? I admire that hugely. And that helps you to keep being an art student so you can contribute to the kingdom. That is the real deal. It's not quite as high profile as going through the Amazon jungle, but it is as real as anything in this room. Sitting there in your dorm room, doing your pictures that end up in a Vietnamese village. Wow. Zambia, already using them. You're in Africa. You're in Asia. We're just getting started.
Getting started.
I super appreciate what's happening at Bethany. And it is ground zero for linking the arts, theater, dance, visual art, going like nobody's business, and finding ways to use that to convey the gospel message. Boy, oh boy. Nobody else does it quite like Bethany Art Department.
Dang, Terry, you have a way of making Christians feel like warriors.
Well, nothing. You know that's true, young lady. Lydia, you know that.
Also, you have a way of perfectly coming back around to the topic that we were speaking about.
Oh, nice.
At the end of the podcast.
Right. Yeah. And again, as we've said over and over, God, it's like, what do I need to get through to my people? I'm here, children of Israel. Let's try a pillar of fire. Maybe we need clouds. You think of the visual, called visual aids. The use of the visual in in God getting his message across.
What others? Keep going.
Well, like I said, we talked about the prophet with the who made the little model of the city and turned his back. Performance art, I think, pure and simple. You think of the miracles that were so often had a visual component.
Terrible.
Dang, I knew that was water. No, it's now wine. But it was water. Hey, check out this wine. As one of my friends is fond to point out, Jesus' first miracle was basically one to keep the party going. That's pretty amazing. 5 little loaves and 2 fish. The idea of, you talk about involving all the senses. Okay. We see this huge, quantity of food.
Taste and see.
Yes. And let's see, 12 disciples. Let's try 12 baskets. You guys go and pick up the leftovers and think about it. Whew. Visual, tactile, probably smell it. Yeah, just a sensory overload. We are in the presence of the Son of God. So, yeah. A lot of visual.
Wow.
Tower of Babel, visual going the wrong way. We'll have a monument to your stupidity.
All of these little pictures, all of these, it's all like meta parables.
You got that right. Exactly. You could hardly find a Bible story that didn't have a real visceral visual component.
Mm-hmm.
From the lions to the fiery furnace to the big fish. Yeah.
And it's all saying this is this.
Exactly.
This is something else.
Exactly. And it just stays in your head. Yeah. And you think of how that original audience experienced that visual element.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying not to end it. I can feel that I'm supposed to.
It's been 2 hours.
Oh, are you serious?
Yeah,
It has been.
We
No.
just passed the 2 hour mark.
Terry's got somewhere.
Oh, man.
Okay, we are going to end it. As usual, I love the people in this room, and I love you out there in the earbuds. Terry, one last time, would you recite your title?
Yes. Artistic Development Missionary for Wells World Missions.
This has been Whistle the Feast.
And that concludes this episode of Whistle the Feast. We hope you enjoyed being a part of the conversation as much as we did. Whistle the Feast would not be possible without all the creative people and spaces at Bethany Lutheran College. And you can head on over to blc.edu to learn more about the college or schedule a visit. If you have thoughts, questions, or feedback, we'd love to hear from you. You can actually send any feedback about the show to feastreaders@gmail.com. And hey, if you've got a project you'd like to promote, we'd love to support it. Just send your details our way. A huge shout out to the wonderful people in our Bethany community for sharing their thoughts with us, and our producer Jaksyn Graham for managing the edits. And with that, I'm Norah Kratz alongside Jason Jaspersen, and we want to thank everyone who tuned into this episode of Whistle the Feast. Until next time.
Get curious, be of good service, and discover what God has given you.